children plenty of opportunities to develop, learn and practice their social emotional skills in their everyday experiences with educators and peers. When educators purposely arrange experiences or respond to spontaneous opportunities with children, they support children to develop and enhance their social emotional skills. A balance of holistic approaches to teaching, intentionally planned and child-initiated experiences enhance children's social emotional learning. Today we're at University Preschool and Childcare Centre, and we're observing and talking with educators about how they intentionally program for social emotional learning that develops a strong sense of well-being and enables children to make choices and decisions that influence events of their world.
I'm Eileen Webster. I'm the Assistant Director of the University Preschool and Childcare, and I'm also the Educational Leader at the Centre.
I'm Lynley Rees. I'm the Director of University Preschool and Childcare. We're an 85-place centre, so quite large. We're divided into 3 sections, nursery, toddlers and preschool, and we have 2 rooms in each of those sections, so there's 6 rooms altogether. Because of the way we're set up, we're able to have quite small group sizes, which works really well for the children and for the staff. It means that we can develop some really good relationships with the children, with our families.
Tell me a little bit about how you plan and provide for children to make choices around the things that they do on a daily basis.
We use a play-based program, and we have large blocks of time set aside for the children to be able to choose from the resources and equipment that are set out. So with having large blocks of time, they're able to choose the types of things that they're interested in, and then spend time with that, extending their play, extending their thinking. The staff come in and support the learning, so that happens. Some of it's intentional, some of it's spontaneous, and happens just as a situation arises.
So Eileen, tell me about how that is for babies then.
Well, I think the most important area for babies is the collaborative partnership we have with the family. We have a close working relationship with the parents to build up knowledge of each child, so that we can tune into their needs, to learn the little cues to know more about the baby's needs, their little signs, their little signals that we can pick up on.
So tell me how your educators actually tune into children.
One of our strong areas is the orientation program for our new parents. We invite the parents to spend as much time in the centre prior to them returning to work. We then have that opportunity to observe the parents with their child. They observe the carers and the educators with the babies, and we exchange knowledge of the child, of the program, and then we begin to see, sort of pick up the signs, when baby's happy, baby's maybe a little bit uncomfortable, baby might need to be fed, might need to go to sleep. Our educators in the nursery are very experienced, to the point they can predict what is next needed in the child's daily routine, so the baby is not left to be distressed prior to sleep. The staff are very tuned in.
So tell me about what some of the social and emotional skills are that children need to actually help them make decisions.
They need to have a good sense of self, of who they are and where they fit in the big scheme of things.
They need to feel connected with their carers, with their family naturally, with the community that's around them, even with the children that are within their little group.
Tell me a little bit about the curriculum and how you actually intentionally plan to develop some of those social and emotional skills.
Having good relationships with the children, really getting to know what their interests are, and where they are developmentally. Our educators, once they know the children well, they can work out what their interests are, they can follow through with interests, they can actually plan the environment around some of their interests. And being a play-based program, it offers there are lots of open-ended resources.
During the routine of setting up for lunch today, we noticed that there were cards on the table where the children were to sit that had their photo and their name. Tell me a little bit about how educators actually intentionally use those cues for children and how they actually might contribute to their social emotional well-being.
Everybody loves to see themselves and know where they belong, so one thing of having the picture with the name is the child can see where they're going to be sitting. They can also see who's going to be sitting next to them that day. So it sort of gives them a good advance indicator of where their place is going to be during that period of time, which with young children can often be a very difficult time to manage, because young children often are a bit resistant to changes in the routine, and so it's giving them a bit of forewarning as to what's coming next. They can also talk about where they're sitting, who's sitting next to them. The staff are able to use that as a talking point as well, so they can say, yes, and you're going to be sitting here, and oh look, you've got your best friend sitting next to you today. So it sort of does give a bit of an introduction for the children and easing into the next transition of the day.
Also today we saw that there was a bobcat turned up outside the fence outside. So tell me a little bit about, and you mentioned, Lindley, before about it's not all about intentional teaching, and sometimes, well, it is all about intentional teaching, but sometimes it's not what's planned, it's what actually happens on the day. So tell me a little bit about how you educators in your service actually make the most of some of those spontaneous events.
Educators being very aware of what's going on and what the children look like they're interested in, and yet spontaneous things come up all the time. And yet we were lucky today with the bobcat, although they've been working there for quite a while, so the children have been interested in the whole process, and the staff, the educators have been going and with taking children and enjoying that process.
Today we saw lots of children being quite independent and having a very good sense of agency. Tell me what it is that educators have actually planned for to help children develop those social emotional skills to get to that point.
The children need to have a very strong sense of themselves and where they fit into the environment and into their community. And the staff go about giving them that sense of self and confidence to explore through forming very strong relationships with the children, spending time with them one-on-one, talking to them, going through things, so letting them know that they're valued, listening to them, responding to them. With our very little ones, making sure that the children are aware of what's going on, so running through routines with them when they're changing their nappy, letting them know what they're actually doing, and if a child is indicating they want a story or something, but the educator's busy with something else, letting them know that, okay, I'm just going to go and do this, but I'm going to come back and I'll read the story with you. So all the time making the child feel like they are important, that they matter, and that they have a real place within that community. So.
Tell me a little bit about how staff are supported to extend their own knowledge and skills to actually ensure that children's social and emotional learning remains a focus point of your programming.
We're involved in the Kids Matter pilot, and so that gave us a lot of access to resources and to actual facilitation in children's social and emotional development and their well-being. Also, We're very lucky that we have a management committee that makes good allowance in the budget for further development, staff development. So we send our educators out to professional development, and we also have lots of opportunities in the centre for talking in team meetings and general staff meetings, where we can just sit down and talk together about different situations that are arising in the centre, maybe talking about particular children that we think might be having problems, so we can sort of bounce ideas off each other as to how we can manage those children, and how we can be focused on their social and emotional well-being. We also have lots of opportunities to talk with the parents as to how they feel their children are going and what their children's needs are, so the staff can actually learn from the parents as well as to what things the parents feel work well with their children. So there's a lot of collaboration going on right through the whole centre.
Time is always a really important thing, and something in early childhood education and care services we struggle to find enough of. Programming time is one of those things that is also something that's really important. How do you actually manage that in your service? What opportunity and how do you give your educators that chance to reflect and plan?
Well, we are quite fortunate that the management allows us to have quite a good lot of staff on board, so that we've got staff over and above ratios that can relieve other staff while they do non-contact time. Our room leaders in particular get time every day to reflect and write up the journal, and to write up some records and observations of the children. So that's about half an hour every day they get to do that. And in addition to that, they get a block of 3 hours every week to do a bit more in-depth reflection and recording of observations. During that time that they're out of the room, we're able to employ a full-time staff member who actually steps in to relieve each one of those as they're out of the room. And that's a staff member that is permanently on board. She works full-time. So she's well known right around the centre. She knows all of the children and she's comfortable stepping into various roles. In addition to that, we do some out of hours team meetings, just so that we can get all of the staff together to reflect. And that usually happens about once every month, or we'll have a general staff meeting, and prior to the general staff meeting, each of the teams will break into smaller groups and have individual team meetings as well. And about once every couple of months I'll actually meet with all of the room leaders so that we can bounce ideas off each other and try and improve our practice. And I also meet regularly with the assistants as well. And Eileen, as our educational leader, does a lot of mentoring with the staff one-on-one.
Thank you, Eileen and Lindley, and the other educators at your centre for sharing your day with us. It's really encouraging to see the National Quality Standard and the Early Years Learning Framework in action, and particularly seeing those social and emotional skills develop in the children. So thank you for sharing your day with us.